I came back a day early from a medical workshop and found 90 people in my house under a sign that said, "Family is forever." My parents and brother had organized a big reunion without me. I didn't make a scene. Instead, I made another decision. 2 weeks later, I had 105 missed calls, and my brother was screaming on the phone. I never thought my own house could feel so foreign. I had come back early from a physiotherapy workshop where I was learning new techniques, my job for the past 10 years. My flight landed at 6 p.m., and all I wanted was to get to my 2-story house, bought with my savings, and rest. But when the taxi turned onto my street, I knew something was wrong. Cars were parked everywhere, like it was a concert. Music blared, and my house was lit up. I thought maybe the neighbors were partying, but no, the noise was coming from my door. I got out of the taxi, dragged my suitcase, and stood at the entrance. My heart was racing from anger or confusion. I'm not sure. I opened the door and froze. My house was packed. People in the living room, kitchen, backyard. Uncles, cousins, neighbors, even strangers I didn't recognize. I estimated 90 people, laughing, eating, drinking. On the main wall, a big sign read, "Family is forever." Bright red letters, almost mocking me. I saw my mom chatting with an aunt, my dad at the grill in the backyard, and my brother Alejandro, as always, the life of the party, telling stories that made everyone laugh. His shoulder, the one he always complains about, didn't seem to bother him as he raised a beer. No one noticed me. I stood at the door, suitcase in hand, feeling like an intruder. My cousin Carla spotted me first. She approached, unsure what to say. "Hey, I didn't know you were here. I thought you were coming tomorrow." "I came back early," I said, my voice tight. "What is this?" "It's a family reunion," she replied, looking at the floor. "Your parents and Alejandro planned it. They said it was for everyone." "Everyone except me," I said, unable to hold back. Before Carla could respond, my mom saw me. She walked over with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Sweetie, what a surprise. I thought you were coming tomorrow." "So I've been told," I said, crossing my arms. "Why are there 90 people in my house, Mom?" She laughed, but it sounded nervous. "We wanted to do something big for the family. Your house is perfect, and since you weren't here, you didn't invite me." I cut her off. I didn't raise my voice, but I felt a knot in my chest. "It's not that," she said, waving her hands. "We just thought you wouldn't be here, so we used the space. You're always so understanding." Understanding. That word hit me hard. I've always been the one who gives in this family. I let them use my house, send my parents $500 a month for their expenses, treat half of them for free, starting with Alejandro, who shows up with his shoulder pain, expecting me to fix it like it's my personal job. And now, here I was, in my own house, feeling like I didn't matter. I didn't say anything else. I didn't want to make a scene. I grabbed my suitcase, turned around, and left. No one noticed. I walked to a nearby hotel, checked in, and sat in the room. I wasn't crying, but I was fed up. Fed up with being the one who always gives in, the one who's always there while everyone takes it for granted that I'll never say no. Alejandro is the favorite. Always has been. My parents treat him like he's perfect. The charismatic one who always shines. Me? I'm the one who fixes, who pays, who stays quiet. That night, standing in my house full of people who didn't invite me, I realized I didn't want to keep doing this. I turned off my phone and went to bed. The next morning, I went to the workshop. I focused on the lectures, took notes, talked to other physiotherapists, but the image of my house lingered, the sign, the laughter, the feeling of not belonging. When the course ended, I went back to the hotel. I didn't want to see the mess they'd surely left behind. I sat with my laptop and checked my bank account. There were the automatic transfers to my parents, $500 every month. I thought about the free physiotherapy sessions I gave everyone, my uncles, cousins, and especially Alejandro, who always showed up complaining about his shoulder like I was his personal slave. Never a thank you, never anything. I closed the laptop and made a decision. I wasn't going to fight with them, yell, or demand explanations. I was going to do something for myself. I called my assistant at the clinic. Cancel all my family's appointments. I said, no more free sessions. If they want treatment, they pay like everyone else. She didn't ask why, just said she'd handle it. I turned off my phone again. I needed silence. The days that followed were strange. I went back home once I knew the party was over. The place was a mess. Dirty dishes, trash everywhere, stains on the carpet. I cleaned it all alone, and every broken thing I found made me angrier, but it also felt like I was letting something go. I didn't talk to my parents or Alejandro. They didn't reach out at first, probably thinking everything was fine, that I'd always understand. But a week later, my phone started buzzing. Messages from my mom. Sweetie, why aren't you answering? From my dad. We need to talk. This isn't right. And from Alejandro. My shoulder's worse. Please help me. I didn't respond. Not because I wanted to hurt them, but because I needed space. For the first time, I was thinking about what I wanted. I'd always put my family first, and they took it for granted. But not anymore. 2 weeks later, I had 105 missed calls, mostly from Alejandro, some from my parents, and others from relatives who must have heard. The last message was from Alejandro yelling, "Why are you doing this? You're my sister. You have to help me. My shoulder's killing me." I took a deep breath. I didn't feel guilt. For the first time, I felt in control. I turned off my phone and left it on the hotel table. I didn't want more messages, yelling, or excuses. I took a shower, put on an old t-shirt, and sat on the bed with my laptop. I had work, patient emails, invoices, physiotherapy articles. But my mind was on the party, the sign, my mom's face when she saw me. It wasn't just anger. It was something that had been building for years. I'd always been the one who gives in the family, lending my house, sending money, treating everyone for free. Started with Alejandro and his shoulder. Never a thank you, never anything. And then they threw a party with 90 people in my house without inviting me. That was the last straw. I decided I wasn't going to keep being the sister who always says yes, the daughter who pays without question. I was going to set boundaries. The days that followed were odd. I went back home after the workshop. The place was a disaster. Dirty plates, broken glasses, carpet stains. I cleaned it all alone, and every broken thing made me angrier, but it also felt like relief, like I was cleaning more than just my house. I threw myself into work. The clinic was busy, and I loved helping my patients. But every time I saw a family member's name in the system, I deleted it. No more free appointments, no more favors. My phone kept buzzing. Messages from my mom, dad, Alejandro, even some cousins. I didn't read them. I didn't want half-hearted apologies or empty explanations. One afternoon, my assistant Laura gave me a weird look. "Your phone won't stop," she said, pointing to my bag. "Everything okay?" "Everything's fine," I said without looking at her. Laura didn't push, but she knew something was up. That night, at home, I checked my phone. I had 127 missed calls and over 50 messages. Alejandro was the worst. "This isn't fair. You're my sister. My shoulder's killing me. Help me?" My mom said, "Sweetie, let's talk. I don't understand why you're doing this." My dad was blunter. "This isn't what family does." I felt a pang, I won't lie. Part of me wanted to call them, fix everything, go back to normal. But then I remembered the party, the sign, the feeling of not belonging, and that pang turned into something solid, a decision I wasn't going to change. I did something I hadn't done in years. I took a day off. I called Laura, closed the clinic on Saturday, and went to cafe. I ordered a latte, read a book, and didn't check my phone. For one day, it was just me, no obligations. On Monday, things got serious. I was at the clinic with a patient when Laura said someone was waiting for me. "It's your brother," she said quietly. "He says it's urgent." I finished with my patient and went out. Alejandro was in the waiting area, hand on his shoulder, face tense. When he saw me, he stood up fast. "Finally," he said, half angry, "I've been trying to talk to you for days. My shoulder's worse. I can't even move it. You need to help me." "Hello, Alejandro," I said, crossing my arms. I don't have appointments today. What? He said, raising his voice. Some patients looked over. Are you serious? I'm your brother. You've always helped me. Yes, always, I said, staring at him. And you never thanked me. Neither did Mom or Dad. So now, if you want treatment, pay or find another physiotherapist. He went silent, like he couldn't believe it. You can't do this to me. After everything we've been through as a family. As a family? I said, my voice cold. Family doesn't throw a party in your house without inviting you. He didn't know what to say. He turned and left, muttering something. Laura, who heard everything, looked surprised. That was intense, she said. It was time. I replied and went back to work. That night, I got a different message. My Aunt Rosa, one of the few who always treated me well, wrote, Sweetie, I heard about the party. I didn't know they didn't invite you. I'm sorry. I want to talk when you can. I replied briefly, Thanks, Aunt Rosa. We'll talk soon. I wasn't ready to talk, but her message made me feel that not everyone in the family was like my parents or Alejandro. Some, like Rosa, seemed to understand. In the days that followed, other relatives reached out. My cousin Sophia left a long message apologizing, saying she thought I was traveling, and that's why they didn't tell me. I wasn't sure if I believed her, but she sounded sincere. Other cousins wrote, saying they didn't know I'd been excluded. I was surprised they were finding out, but not surprised that my parents and Alejandro hadn't said anything. Alejandro didn't give up. He bombarded me with messages, some angry, others almost begging. I can't afford a physiotherapist. You know I don't have money, he wrote once. You're the only one who can help me. I ignored them all. It wasn't my job to fix his life. My parents kept insisting, too, leaving messages saying they wanted to fix things, that the party was a misunderstanding. I didn't believe them. They had weeks to include me, to tell me, and they didn't. Their silence and spoke louder than their words now. One night, while eating pizza at home, I realized something. I wasn't alone because I wanted to be. I was alone because I'd chosen it. And that felt good. For the first time, I wasn't running after my family, trying to make them happy. I was living for myself. But I knew this wasn't over. Alejandro wasn't one to give up, and neither were my parents. Something told me things would get more complicated, and I wasn't wrong. A couple weeks later, things got weird. I was at the clinic when Laura said my mom was in the waiting area. She didn't make an appointment, she said carefully. She just wants to talk. I went out, and there she was, sitting with a worried look. When she saw me, she stood up quickly. Sweetie, please, we need to talk, she said. This can't go on like this. I don't have much time, I said, crossing my arms. What do you want? She looked at her hands, nervous. We didn't know you'd be so upset about the party. We thought you wouldn't be here, and your house was perfect. It wasn't to exclude you. But you did, I said. You threw a party with 90 people in my house without telling me, and now you expect everything to be fine. We're sorry, she said, her voice trembling. We want to fix it. You're our daughter. We don't want to lose you. Those words hit me, but not enough. Fixing it isn't just saying sorry. I said, I need space. I'm not going to keep being the one who gives while everyone takes. She went quiet, her eyes glassy. For a second, I thought she'd cry, but she didn't. I understand, she said finally. Just think about us, please. I didn't respond. I went back to my office and continued my day, but her words stayed with me. I love my family despite everything, but I couldn't keep being the one who always gives in. That same week, Alejandro showed up again, this time at my house, banging on the door like he wanted to break it down. I let him in only because I didn't want the neighbors calling the police. This is ridiculous, he said, storming in without a greeting. My shoulder's worse than ever. I can't work. I can't sleep. You have to help me. I don't have to do anything, I said, leaning against the wall. I told you, make an appointment, pay, or find someone else. Why are you being like this? He shouted. You've always been the one who helps. Now you're acting tough. I'm not acting tough, I said, staring at him. I'm tired of being used, of everyone expecting me to be there, but never seeing me. He went silent, his face red. This is about the party, isn't it? It was a stupid mistake. It wasn't to exclude you. Then why didn't anyone invite me? I asked, tell me. Alejandro, why didn't anyone tell me anything? He didn't answer, just looked down and left, slamming the door. For the first time, I felt my silence spoke louder than any shout. The days that followed were calmer, but not because things were resolved. It was like my family was on pause, waiting for me to make the first move. But I didn't. I stuck to my routine, working at the clinic, treating patients, reading about new physiotherapy techniques. I felt lighter, like cutting the free appointments and the transfers to my parents had lifted a weight I didn't know I was carrying. My phone kept piling up messages. Alejandro eased off but still sent short, desperate texts. Please, just one session, or don't be like this. My parents kept insisting, too. My mom left a voicemail. Sweetie, we don't want this to tear us apart. Let's talk, please. My dad was more direct. You're being selfish. Think about the family. Each message was an attempt to make me give in, but it didn't work. I wasn't the same anymore. One morning, while checking the clinic's appointment calendar, Laura called from the front desk. You have a visitor, she said, her tone making me look up. It's your Aunt Rosa. I finished with my patient and went out. Rosa was sitting in the waiting area with a cloth bag in her hands. When she saw me, she smiled, a warm smile, not like my mom's forced one. Sweetie, I don't want to take your time, she said, standing. I just wanted to see you and give you this. She handed me the bag. Inside was a thermos of coffee and a box of homemade cookies, the kind she made when I was a kid. Thanks, Aunt Rosa, I said, a bit surprised. You didn't have to. I wanted to, she said, and I also wanted to apologize. I wasn't at the party, but I heard what happened. It's not right what they did. No one should feel like that in their own home. Her words hit me, not because they were new, but because they were the first that felt sincere. Thanks for saying that, I said. It hasn't been easy. I know, she said, putting a hand on my arm, but you're doing the right thing. Sometimes family needs a push to realize what they have. If you need to talk, I'm here. I nodded, a lump in my throat. Rosa left, and I stood there with a thermos and cookies, feeling something I hadn't in weeks. Hope. Not everyone in the family was like my parents or Alejandro. Some, like Rosa, saw my worth. The next weekend, something shifted. I got a message from my cousin Sophia, the one who'd apologized before. Hey, we're having a small lunch at my mom's house, just close family. We want you there. It was the first direct invitation I'd gotten since the party. I didn't apply right away. Part of me wanted to go, but another part was still wary. In the end, I decided to show up. The lunch was at my Aunt Clara's house, Sophia's mom. When I arrived, there were about 15 people, nothing like the 90 at my house. Sophia greeted me with a hug. I'm so glad you came, she said. We didn't know about the party until after. It was a mistake, and I'm sorry. Other cousins approached, saying similar things. Not all of them were sincere, I knew, but some were. We talked, ate, laughed a little. No one mentioned my parents or Alejandro, and I didn't bring them up. It was strange, but also freeing. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was at a family gathering because they wanted me there, not because they needed something from me. Months passed, and my silence started to have an effect. Some relatives, like Sophia and Rosa, began treating me differently, with more respect. Others, like my parents, kept insisting, but their messages were less frequent. Alejandro didn't give up. One night, he left a long voicemail, his voice breaking. I don't know what to do. I went to another physiotherapist, but it's not the same. My shoulder's worse, and I can't afford more sessions. Please, just help me this once. I listened to the message and deleted it. Not because I didn't care, but because it wasn't my responsibility anymore. Alejandro had years to value me, to treat me as more than his personal physiotherapist. He didn't. And now he was facing the consequences. One day, while cleaning my house, I found an old photo in a drawer. It was Alejandro, my parents, and me on a beach trip when we were kids. We were all smiling, but even in the photo, you could see the difference. Alejandro in the center, my parents beside him, and me a little behind, like I was always secondary. I kept the photo but didn't feel nostalgia. I felt like I was closing a chapter. A year later, my life was different. I was still working at the clinic, but now I had an extra assistant and was planning to open a second location. I'd saved the money I used to send to my parents and use it for an advanced physiotherapy course abroad. I traveled, learned, met new people. For the first time, I felt like my life was mine. I hadn't spoken to my parents or Alejandro in months. It was hard at first. I won't lie, I missed them. But every time I thought about calling, I remembered the party, the sign, the feeling of being invisible, and that gave me strength to keep going. Some relatives stayed in touch. Sophie and I grew closer, and Rosa invited me for coffee now and then. Others, like my uncles and more distant cousins, drifted away. It didn't bother me. I'd learned that family isn't just blood, it's respect, and I deserve that. One afternoon, while having coffee with Rosa, she told me something unexpected. "Your parents are starting to understand," she said. "The other day, your mom told me she feels bad about what happened. They don't know how to approach you now." "Let them try," I said, shrugging. "But I'm not making the first move this time." Rosa smiled. "That's what I like about you. You were always strong, but now you know it." One day, I got a letter from my mom. I opened it with my heart in my throat. It was short, handwritten, something I didn't expect from her. It said, "Sweetie, I don't know how to fix what we did. The party was a mistake, and we didn't see you. I know we failed you, and I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to forgive me now, but I want you to know we love you, and we're trying to change. If you ever want to talk, we're here." I read the letter 3 times. Part of me wanted to call her, but another part knew I wasn't ready. I put the letter in the same drawer as the beach photo. Maybe one day I'd respond, but not now. Alejandro stopped messaging me. I heard through Sophia that he'd found a physiotherapist who took payments in installments. I didn't know if his shoulder was better, and I didn't ask. It wasn't my problem anymore. Today, as I write this, I'm at peace. It's not perfect peace. There are still days I miss my family, but it's a peace that comes from knowing I did the right thing. I set boundaries. I put myself first, and that changed everything. Now, when I get family invitations, they're direct with my name on them. When I talk to Sophia or Rosa, I feel seen not just as the one who helps, but as me. I don't know what will happen with my parents or Alejandro. Maybe we'll talk someday. Maybe not. But for now, I'm okay. My house is mine again, and I'm not just talking about the place I live. I'm talking about me, my life, my space. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments, and subscribe for more daily stories.